Hey sports fans and bettors, welcome to this channel. In today's video, we'll be analyzing past trends, player stats, and more to give you the edge in your bets. To obtain stats the day before the games, subscribe now. I am going to start with the Orlando Magic vs Detroit Pistons game, that will take place in the Little Caesars Arena on December 28th. The Pistons have a 4-12 away record and they have won 4 of their last 5 games, the last game being victory against Spurs 133-113 on December 23. Orlando has one injured player, Jalen Suggs. On the other side, Detroit has lost their last 5 games, the last game being against the Clippers by a score of 143-131 in overtime. The Spurs have 2 injured players that are Isaiah Livers and Marvin Bagley. The next game is the Suns vs the Wizards. This game will take place in the Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. The Suns currently have a record of 5-10 away games and they have lost 3 of their 5 last games, 4 of them being home and 1 away. That was the last game versus the Nuggets by a score of 128-125. They only have 3 injured players that are Landry Shamet, Devin Booker and Cameron Payne. The Wizards have a record of 8-7 home and have only won 2 of their last 5 games. The last game was a victory against Sacramento by a score of 125-111. They have 1 injured player that is Deni Avdija. The next game is the Nets vs Atlanta, that will take place at State Farm Arena. The Nets currently have a record of 10-7 away, and have won all of their last 5 games. They have 2 injured players that are Joe Harris and Seth Curry. Atlanta on the other side have an 11-6 home record and have won only 3 of their last 5 games. The last victory was a home game against Detroit by a score of 130-105 and have 4 injured players, that are Clint Capella, Jarrett Culver, Vit Krejci and DeAndre Hunter. The next game is the Lakers vs Miami Heat, which will take place in FTX Arena in Miami. The Lakers have a record of 5-12 away and have lost 4 of their last 5 games. The last game was a loss against Dallas by a score of 124-115 and they have 4 injured players that are Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Dennis Schroeder and Juan Toscano. Miami Heat have a 10-8 home record and have won 3 of their last 5 games. The last game was a victory against Minnesota by a score of 113-110 and they currently have 4 injured players that are Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Dwayne Dedmon and Kyle Lowry. The next game is Milwaukee vs Chicago, which will take place in the United Center. The Milwaukee have an 8-8 away record and have lost 3 of their last 5 games. The last game was a loss at Boston by a score of 139-118. They currently have 1 injured player that is Chris Middleton and will not be available. The Chicago Bulls have a 7-8 home record and have won 3 of their last 5 games. The last game was a loss against the Rockets by a score of 133-118 and they have 3 injured players that are Derrick Jones, Javonte Green and Alex Caruso. The next game is Minnesota vs the Pelicans, which will be at the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans. Minnesota has a record of 7-10 away and have lost 3 of their last 5 games. The last games lost against Miami by a score of 113-110. They currently have 3 injured players that are Jordan McLaughlin, Taurean Prince and Kyle Anderson. The Pelicans have a record of 14-4 home games and have won only 3 of their last 5 games. The last game was a victory against the Pacers with a score of 113-93 and they have 5 injured players that are Brandon Ingram, Herbert Jones, Zion Williamson, Trey Murphy and Dyson Daniels. The next game takes place in the Chase Center in San Francisco and is between the Jazz and the Warriors. The Jazz have a record of 7-12 away and have lost 3 of their last 5 games. The last game was a loss in Sacramento by a score of 126-122. They currently have 1 injured player that is Kelly Olynyk. The Warriors have a 13-2 home record and have won 2 of their last 5 games. However, the last game was a victory versus Memphis by a score of 123-109 in, and they have 4 injured players that are Stephen Curry, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green and JaMychal Green. The last game reviewed in this video is of the Nuggets versus the Sacramento Kings, that will take place in the Golden One Center in Sacramento, California. The Nuggets have a record of 9-8 away games and have won 4 of their last 5 games. The last game was a victory against Phoenix by a score of 128-125 in overtime, and they only have 4 injured players, that are Jeff Green, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Colin Gillespie and Aaron Gordon. The Kings have a 9-6 home record and have won 3 of their last 5 games. The last game was a loss against Washington with a score of 125-111, and they have 1 injured player, that is Domantas Sabonis. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the world of sports betting and statistics. We hope you've gained some valuable insights and strategies that you can use to make informed decisions on your bets. Remember, betting on sports is all about understanding the stats and trends, and using that knowledge to your advantage. By analyzing past performance and player statistics, you can increase your chances of making profitable bets. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.